Hi everyone! Today we're making this lovely and beginner-friendly painting of a wheatgrass that uses simple and basic techniques. And today we are going to use only a single color. But before we start, we need to discuss three important concepts. The first one is values. Since we are going to use only one color, we need to know about it. The value of a pigment is basically how light or dark it is. So if you are using paint from tubes, you can use it directly. That will be the darkest value of that particular pigment. But if you are using pans like me, spritz a tiny amount of water on them to activate the paints first. Use a thick consistency with minimal water to get a dark value. And to get lighter values, simply mix in a bit more water. The more water you add, the lighter the pigment becomes, hence lighter the value. I would recommend that you try practicing making different values of a same color, as it can be a very helpful concept. Even if you are not using just one color, understanding values can be crucial for a good painting. The second important thing is that watercolors are transparent medium, so if you apply another layer on the dry paint, the layer underneath will show through. Here I have done a base layer. Then, after it has completely dried, I'm doing more layers on top of it using the paint of same consistency. And as you can see, it's darker in this section. And the third concept is that the paint will become lighter as it dries. So keeping these three things in mind, that is, the importance of value, importance of layering, and lastly, that paint becomes lighter after drying, let's start our painting. First, apply clean water on the entire page, and you can use any color of your choice for this painting. I'm using cadmium orange. Now, with a light value, make a circle and cover the entire paper around it. Here, I'm doing a flat wash, but the sun will have a slight glow around it, as I first painted the circle. However, if you like, you can do a more dramatic gradient. Just make sure it's the lightest part of the painting. And here I'm lifting some of the paint with a clean, damp brush. Let it dry completely and use a tiny bit darker value to paint some stalks. Make long, thin, curved lines of different height, and overlap some of them so that they may look more organic. I'm making these lines on both sides and trying to make them point towards the center, but it's not necessary. You can make them however you prefer. Now for these grains, I'm making these small V-shaped lines that become larger as we move downwards. But I wasn't happy with them, so I changed that to slightly thicker lines, kind of like tiny leaves. And I'm following the same pattern, that is, smaller grains at the top and larger at the bottom. Now add a tiny bit more pigment in your mixture and repeat the process to make more stalks, then add the grains in a similar manner. Then repeat the same process couple of times, each time gradually increasing the value. Make sure to let the previous layer dry before moving forward to avoid paint smudging. This will give a sense of depth to your painting because the lighter objects will feel like they are farther away from you. Here I'm adding simple grass. And at this point, I felt it was a bit empty, so I added more wheat to it. Overall, this painting is very relaxing and super beginner friendly, and a great exercise to help you understand values. Other simple exercises can be making the simple value scale, or turning any reference image into grayscale, and painting that with just a single color. This is also known as a value study, which many painters do before starting the actual painting. Once you understand this concept, this will really help you improve in watercolors, as learning this will give more depth to your paintings and make them look more believable. As you can see, lighter values feels farther away and darker ones feel closer. Although depth is not just about values, but value is one of the important things to achieve it. And if you like, we can cover the other concepts for creating depth in future videos. And I would recommend that you make this painting multiple times. Each time choose a different color. This will help you understand how each of those pigments behave. For example, the darkest value of yellow will still be lighter than a dark value of phthalo blue. That means the range of values you can achieve will vary based on the color you are using. One more thing to keep in mind is, while you can use white paint to lighten your colors, doing so will make them look a bit opaque. If that's the look you're going for, that's perfectly fine. But if you want to keep that transparency, use water to lighten your pigments. And you can leave white of the paper for highlights, etc. If you enjoyed this video, you might also like this easy landscape tutorial, so be sure to check it out. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.